Dozens of the most sick evacuees just arrived at Tampa International Airport, and that is where we find our Chris Martinez. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Serena. After a day of many delays, this plane finally landed about 40 minutes ago. And right now, if you take a look behind me, you can see they are in the process still of assessing these men and women, about 50 in all. They are all of them survivors of Katrina's devastation. Now, these are critically ill patients, the first of at least 200 that will be brought to Bay Area hospitals in the coming days, and more could follow after that. About half of this first group were taken off the military aircraft on stretchers and in wheelchairs. Rescue workers here had no idea exactly what they would be facing in terms of treating these patients before they arrived. Paramedics are now assessing their conditions one by one in this hangar turned triage center.
This is what we do under conditions sometimes worse than this. So, to be here to provide help for people that are coming from somewhere else, it's actually a joy and a pleasure.
And once they are finished with this first group, treating them here and then also getting them on to area hospitals, the plane that brought them here will head immediately back to Louisianna, pick up more patients, and then bring those patients back here to the Bay Area. And it doesn't end there. Rescue workers here have been told they can expect at least 2 more patient transports sometime tomorrow. We're live at TIA. I'm Chris Martinez, ABC Action News.
It's nice to see we can offer assistance. Thank you, Chris. Miami has also taken in at least 40 hurricane victims. They were flown in by a military C-130 plane this evening. Dozens of nurses and doctors were ready for them at a makeshift hospital at the airport.
Gunshot wounds, some lacerations, persons with chronic medical problems to include heart, lungs with shortness of breath. But patients, the majority of them are stabilized, and they're ready to go to the hospital right now as we speak.
Officials tell us this is the first time they had to use this type of disaster system. Usually it's enacted in war. Florida is preparing for another 1,000 evacuees in the coming days. And Senate Majority Leader Bill
10 News reporter Valerie Boyd joins us live from Tampa International Airport, where the first flight of victims has just arrived. Val?
That's right, Chen. The plane just landed a few minutes ago, and we're waiting for some hurricane victims to come off of it. There's around 50 people on board, and just think, earlier tonight they were in New Orleans dealing with the devastation, the violence, and the loss, and now they're finally here for some relief. Now, the plane took off from an airport in New Orleans at around 9 p.m. and just arrived. The military aircraft was supposed to arrive at 10 o'clock this morning, but there were some delays because there was a problem finding a flight crew. Apparently, many people have already been flying numerous hours. Now, locally, it's been a very long day for emergency workers. There are 130 rescuers. They've been here for hours, and earlier tonight, all they could do was sit and wait for this plane to arrive.
This community is very much ready to help the victims of Hurricane Katrina.
Emergency workers gathered together. They've been here for more than 12 hours waiting for hurricane victims and dealing with flight delays.
I know it's been very frustrating today. It's your day off for many of you. It's a weekend. We wish that we could change that, but we cannot. We just want to be here to help if we can.
Some of these rescue workers traveled all the way from Sarasota and Bradenton.
We got here early just to find out that nothing was going to happen until later this evening, so we've just been holding tight, waiting for something to happen, and glad to be here.
This in here, you'll find blankets for patients as well as things that we can dress them with.
As a nurse, Tiffany Milton prepares for patients with different needs.
They're going to be assessed, and their medical conditions will be determined, and their medical needs will be determined.
The patients will then be taken to area hospitals.
Some of the patients will be critically ill, and we're prepared to deal with that.
After seeing the agony and anguish on television, emergency workers say they'll wait as long as it takes.
Certainly, it's very heartbreaking and devastating, and we want to be here for them and do whatever we can.
It's all part of the job.
We are ready to receive patients. We were on, off. Now we're delayed, and that's just the nature of what we're dealing with.
And right now you're looking at a live picture of the hurricane victims getting off of the plane. They'll be taken into the hangar where some paramedics will treat them and figure out which hospital they should be taken to. There's around 50 patients on board. And also, the Red Cross will be having a shelter at Tarpon Springs for family members of those victims that need help. Jen?
So they'll at least be able to be close by their loved ones as they undergo whatever treatment that they need at this point.
Tampa International Airport just minutes ago. News Channel 8's Lynn Carson was there for that arrival. She joins us now live from the airport with more. Lynn?
Well, Josh, the long wait, it is finally over. That military cargo plane, it has just arrived at Tampa International Airport from Baton Rouge. We're told on board there's about 50 patients. Half of them are on stretchers. The other half are able to walk out of the plane. Here's what's going to happen next. Once they get those patients out of the plane, they will go to this triage center that's set up. There are medical workers from across the Tampa Bay area that will evaluate each and every patient. They will decide what type of medical care that they need and determine which hospital they'll send them to. Hospitals in Hillsborough, Pinellas, and also Polk County are taking part in this. Those emergency workers that you see back there, they have been here a very long time. The day started at 5 a.m. for many of them, and after a day filled with delay after delay after delay, there is now a feeling of relief.
Probably be a relief when it gets here because we can do what we planned to do all day, and actually the last 3 days they've kind of been setting up, getting ready for it, and it's just a matter of let's show up, let's do what we can to help out, and I mean, they're the ones that need us, so it's not a problem. We're not having any problems compared to what they're having, so we're ready to help out.
Again, that military plane has just arrived. They haven't even unloaded the patients at this point in time. We also know that there are family members on board that plane. The Red Cross has set up a shelter for those family members in Tarpon Springs. They're going to take care of them and make sure that they get to the different hospitals. We've also learned on board that plane 2 dogs and a bird, along with the family members and the patients. Needless to say, after a long day of waiting, there is much relief here tonight.
Certainly understandable. Lynn Carson, thank you very much for that live report tonight from Tampa International Airport.